Happy New Year, everyone. It's Al Nygren back to give you an overview and interviews with our New Jersey Film Festival Spring 2018 season, which will be taking place on select Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings between Friday, January 26th and Friday, March 2nd. We have a couple of free screenings that will be taking place at the end of the season that I'll tell you about during the overview. But today is our first interview with a filmmaker. Today we have the director of The Lost Village, Roger Paradiso. Welcome, Roger.
Hello, Al. How are you?
I'm
Good seeing you.
Great. I'm doing great. And we'll be talking to Roger for the next few minutes about his wonderful film, The Lost Village, which is pretty much talking about the changing Greenwich Village scene in New York City. So, Roger, hi, and how did you get involved in this film?
I've always been around the village, and I just started feeling that things were, changing over the decades. But someone pointed me to a rally that was happening. It was the Faculty Student Rebellion Against NYU, the corporate university.
Yeah.
I said, well, that sounds kind of good. And I went, and I heard a lot of good stuff, but the thing that made me do the movie was a young student, female, got up in a eyes wide shut kind of mask.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's interesting. And then what she said was more interesting. She talked about becoming a prostitute because her father had died before she went to school. Her mother was working to get her into a good school. Everyone wants to get into a good school. She got into NYU. NYU does not have a lot of scholarships, despite being a kind of wealthy school. Mm-hmm. And she took out loans, and her mother got sick, so that source of income dried up. And she went to the administration. She got faculty support, and it ended up that they told her to take out more loans.
And this was a grade A,
she was a very good student.
Yeah,
they used her as a model for some program she was in. And her statement that she had to become a dominatrix and a prostitute to pay her tuition just got me. And I said, I got to make this movie, because I hadn't heard about this. And I went up to a lot of people and I said, do you know this is going on? And not really. So the corporate media, the big media, is not covering this, and it's really up to journalists and filmmakers to bring this stuff out.
The biggest drag on the deficit is student debt in many ways, right?
Student debt is at 1.3 trillion and climbing.
Crazy.
It is higher than all credit card debt, and it is second to mortgage debt. And people are saying that the suicide rate among college students is increasing. And that the hotlines are taking all kinds of calls about people in school and out of school who are faced with mountains of debt. Yeah. And the debt is sort of unforgiving. There's fines, there's interest accruing.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle you can't get out of.
It's a bad thing.
$63,000 to go for 1 year to NYU? Or something like that.
Well,
right?
I found a newspaper, NYU paper clipping from 1965. And it said, people are going crazy. NYU has raised tuition to $1,800 for full-time student 2 semesters.
Right.
So $900 a semester. And today, tuition only is $51,000 on average. They have different programs,
right.
But $51,000 for tuition. But then you add in the room and board in New York. NYU estimates room and board about $18,000, which is, to most people who know, apartment rentals in New York is unrealistic.
Crazy. Yeah.
And of course, there's the food costs and books and all that, and living costs. So you have to estimate at least $25,000 or more for living costs on top of the 51. So it makes NYU one of the most expensive schools in the country.
Right. So, but that was the most captivating footage of your film. But your film is not just about NYU and their kind of, raking the students over the coals to with no real help for them. But
Right.
it's really about the changing Greenwich Village scene, bookstores closing.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that too.
Yes. Well, basically, I'm using the village as a metaphor kind of for the way things are working around this country. In LA, definitely. You have the same situations in Santa Monica and Venice, USC, UCLA. Westwood has just about disappeared. So basically what happens is it's a desirable real estate place. The landlords come in and they work very well with the city councils and stuff, and they end up raising rents. In New York City, there's no commercial rent laws, really. So the landlord could come up to you, you're paying $10,000. They could say the rent now is 20 or 30 or 40,
Right.
and I'm not going to give you a 5-year lease. I'm giving you a 1 year or 2 year. And these are the choices that
It's
the people
crazy.
have. So you see a lot of vacant buildings and storefronts.
One of my favorite restaurants, which was on Bleecker Street, Risoteria, I have celiac disease, so I would go there because they had wonderful gluten-free food. So I would drive in from New Jersey to get frozen pizzas from them so I'd be able to survive for a week. And then the owner, who I became friends with, told me that they just jacked up double my rent. And so he had to close down, which is one of the many stories that are seen in your movie. And it's a really wonderful film, and everyone should come and see it. We'll be screening it on Sunday, January 28th, and Roger will be there to take questions with the audience. There's lots of questions that your film raises that I think audience members will enjoy talking to you about. And the other metaphor in your film, and we'll close with that, is the fact that the United States is becoming like the Roman Empire, and the falling Roman Empire. And I think that's very accurately depicted in your film.
I think we have a landlord in the White House, and things are going just about the way I thought they would.
Yeah.
And
it's
this
very
new
scary.
tax bill is, going to help the 1%. And what happened in Rome is when the wealthy just hoarded all the money, there were rebellions by the slaves and serfs. And they destroyed Rome more than the barbarians did, so-called barbarians. Yeah, but we could get into all that at the screening.
Yeah. Please, folks, do come to this screening again. That's on Sunday, January 28th at 7 p.m. in Voorhees Hall, room 105, on the Rutgers University campus in New Brunswick, New Jersey, at 71 Hamilton Street. General admission is $12, $10 for students and seniors. There'll be free food courtesy of Jimmy John's of New Brunswick, so come and hang out with us and chat with Roger at the screening. Thanks so much
All right.
for coming, Roger.
I look forward to it. Thank you, Al.
Thank you so much,
Appreciate
too.
it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
No one should be getting rich by working at a university, and no one should be made poor by going to one.
The flavor of the village is being wiped out by the rents.
There's no way I will ever be able to afford again in my life to live here.
Not one landlord in 18 years could ever prove that they were denied a reasonable rent.
Real estate
That's where all the money
owns
is in
the
city.
government. So
at the tale of two cities.
So my only hope is there'll be a revolution.